Climate change is transforming international development. While development still rightly focuses on poverty reduction and sustainable socioeconomic growth, it is becoming increasingly clear that the impacts of climate change can undermine development progress. For example, the IPCC estimates that by 2020, some countries in Africa will see reductions of up to 50% in yields from rain-fed agriculture, severely compromising food security and exacerbating already existing malnutrition. In some countries, these losses are predicted to occur in parallel with reduced economic productivity and increased human mortality due to the impacts of climate change. For example, through the expansion of vector-borne diseases such as malaria into new and previously unaffected areas, and increased heat stress due to climbing temperatures. These are just some examples of how climate change can impact multiple sectors in parallel. This makes climate change a risk multiplier for governments and ordinary people alike, as it affects activities on multiple fronts. Of course, at the same time, climate change is only one of a number of stresses that need to be considered in development planning. The risk-multiplying nature of climate change, the timescales over which it needs to be considered, and the uncertainty associated with future climate change projections creates a particularly complex decision-making space. This is further complicated by an increasing volume and range of seemingly relevant information available in an equally wide range of formats. This is where knowledge brokering plays a role. Knowledge brokering empowers decision-makers to make use of the best possible information in their decisions. It helps them to safeguard development gains and make progress towards a climate-resilient future. This is as opposed to choosing options that may become maladaptive and lead to increased vulnerability in the future. This can include low and no regret actions that provide immediate economic benefits, or the integration of adaptation into immediate decisions or activities with long lifetimes, such as infrastructure or planning. It can also involve early planning for the future impacts of climate change, especially when decision lifetimes are long or future risks are very large or irreversible. Early planning for the long-term future also sometimes requires information on climate parameters that are not routinely generated in standard model projection outputs, requiring close interaction between climate modeling teams and decision makers. Knowledge brokers can help bridge these different communities through convening dialogues and workshops that bring these providers and users of information together, enabling them to gain a better understanding of one another's capabilities and needs and build trust in each other. Such processes help to support the co-production and co-creation of knowledge that is most useful to the decision makers and potentially also support institutional strengthening. This term, knowledge broker, encompasses a broad group of people who work across different disciplines, fields, and sectors. They may be practitioners at the community level, consultants to national governments, or policy advisors within government ministries, for example. Despite the variety of roles that knowledge brokers play, they experience common barriers and share many principles for good practice. Addressing or bridging barriers that prevent people from using knowledge for decision-making is a key feature of knowledge brokering. Barriers can be related to the nature of the knowledge or information that is being shared, the supply, or to the people who need to use this knowledge, the demand. Key to all knowledge brokering roles is the recognition that the way in which information is produced and shared is critical to ensure it translates from information to knowledge and action. Importantly, as well as safeguarding development gains, effective knowledge brokering can also help decision makers identify opportunities that climate change may present for development, if they can be anticipated and acted upon. Accounting for climate change in development decision-making can have double and perhaps even triple wins in some cases. For example, reducing carbon emissions also improves air quality and public health. Encouraging the diversification of livelihoods through new crops, products, or techniques such as agroforestry and increasing access to markets can reduce deforestation and human vulnerability, but also invest in future generations as families have more money to send children to school and ecosystem services are also protected. Effective knowledge brokering is key to ensuring that these multiple benefits are known and taken into account in decision-making at all levels so that opportunities for resilient and sustainable development are not missed.